2020 has been a really notable year for animation and a truly nightmarish hellscape for pretty much anything else. Whether it be new seasons of existing shows like Amphibia, holy shit, that second season rules, right guys? The actual for real conclusion of Steven Universe, meaning that myself from high school is now completely fully dead, or even some new shows like The Owl House and the best show of 2020, Don't At Me, Kipo and the Wonder Beasts, airing at the start of the year, set a really good precedent for this next decade. If you want to know what I think a perfect show looks like, watch Kipo, and maybe it'll restore your faith in me for saying that Troll Hunters was, and still is, a perfect show, because people don't like that show for some reason. Seriously, go watch it. Oh wait, watch it all. Okay, did you watch it? That was fucking dope, right? Yes, Dave is the best character. Thank you for agreeing. Anyway, now we can continue. However, I feel like there's this idea on both ends of a certain spectrum that there's a dearth of good episodic cartoons, that too many are trying to be Steven Universe Jr., which makes sense. I mean, even a relatively episodic show like Craig of the Creek has secret deep lore shit in it. I'm not even making fun of Craig of the Creek. I fucking love Craig of the Creek. More than I am legally allowed to say. I mean, my Craig of the Creek video is my only remotely popular one at the moment, so it's like a good luck charm for me. There's also an equally vocal group that wants a Steven Universe Jr. Episodic cartoons are nice, but for them the main draw is really all about the theory crafting and world building and... Hey, I already talked about this in my last video. Just watch that one and then, you know, come back to this one after that. The seeming fact of the matter is that while I can totally relate to both sides here, as I have an extremely broad taste in animation, one could even falsely assume I like everything and have no standards, but I will make a negative review someday and it will either destroy the world or save it. What was I saying? Jesus, I really go on a lot of tangents when I write these. Alright, my point is that there are so many extremely good, extremely popular Steven Universe Jr. shows out now. Those guys have, for better or worse, gotten exactly what they want. So with all that said, and while I think that Infinity Train Book 3 is a masterpiece of cartoon beyond my brainworm's comprehension, there has totally been like a whole bunch of very good cartoons that are just those episodic cartoon-ass cartoons that have been coming out, and either everyone doesn't care, or doesn't notice, or doesn't want to notice. Cartoons that just kinda are out there with no real goal of weaving a complex tapestry of intricate world building and character trees, but are still totally valid and rad expressions of the medium. A lot of them, in fact, are on HBO Max. We'll get to that sticky wicket later, but yes, shows like Close Enough or Tig and Seek or, I don't know, Summer Camp Island, I guess, are all there, are all well-made and simple shows meant to be watched apropos of doing homework about the entire history of a fictional world, and are all made within the last 2 years, or even this year. This is all to say I want to give a shout out to these kind of shows now. Tell those who might not know that they totally still do exist, but I'm actually not going to talk about any of those shows. Oh no, because I want to dig deeper. I want to dig into the psyche of Wyatt and find the show that I myself love the most from this crop. One that I think that everyone and anyone can also love, if they're inclusive, inquisitive, respectful, and kind. And that is the HBO Max original series, The Fungies, with an exclamation point. Birthed from the freshly dead womb of Clarence, you know, the other half of my most popular video, and supreme-level comic masterpiece, in 2017, the pilot The Fancies was created by Stephen P. Neary. This beautiful bastard right here boarded like the best episodes in the whole series. Little Buddy, Where the Wild Chads Are, Dreamboat, the best one? What the hell? Stephen P. Neary, you rule! Fancies was put on YouTube last year, which feels like fucking like 3 years ago at this point. Unusual for most pilots though. The Fancies seemed fully formed from the get-go, a fact made more apparent by practically nothing in the pilot being different from the series beyond the name. Like, I was surprised to go back to the pilot and see that all of the core main characters are exactly intact, and that all the rules and even a lot of the jokes are in the same tone. At the time, I kinda overlooked the fancies, probably because I was too busy wanting Mushroom and the Forest of the World to be created.
But it's small and weird.
We're all small and weird, Leaves.
Damn, there's been a lot of good CN pilots lately that I really want to be full shows. Maybe I should make a video about that. Oh yeah, I'm coming for your lunch, fucker! In fact, I was so lukewarm on the pilot that when the show came out a few months ago, I just ignored it and instead focused on the embarrassment of riches that Disney was pouring into my mouth during the summer. That is all to say that I have watched it now, as the first season is over, as of early October, and god damn, this show owns, and it owns hard. Fraggle Rock by way of Clarence, but with dinosaurs and shit? Genius! 10 out of 10, right off the bat from that premise. I can just stop it right there, as I'm all sure we're all aware that Fraggle Rock is one of the best shows on television, of course. The premise is like if Jim Henson Productions fused with a colored xylophone. The Fungies takes place in the distant past, millions of years ago. You know, when mushrooms could talk. The Fungies live in a small Smurfian Flintstonian town inside of mushrooms, and pretty much live like a small town in America, weirdly enough. Seth, the main character, is a man of science, or a boy of science, and much like any huge narc nerd character in cartoons, 90% of the time, the problem of the episode was his own fault. There's a really diverse range of episode topics that can be covered from this simple premise of Seth wants to learn, goes too far, puts lives at risk. Episodes like where Seth's negligence towards his siblings, who are these not yet mitosis babies, causes them to get kidnapped by ants, and then they become a gladiatorial warrior. All the way to Commander Beefy, where Seth becomes the unwitting pawn of enterprising aliens that want to gentrify the planet because he wanted to meet alien life instead of just hanging out with his brother. Seth is just a really good protagonist. If you know me, and you probably do since only my friends watch these videos, you know that I love self-centered narc nerd characters who are also super lame, like Jeff from Clarence, or Pearl from Steven Universe. Seth is a lot like this. He's definitely more open to being chill than those other two, and usually is well-meaning, but he often puts his own interests in whatever stupid thought experiment he's into this week over the well-being of everyone around him. I don't know, I like obviously flawed protagonists like this, especially in a show with no central antagonist. And I guess besides Commander Beefy, I don't know, who knows where this show is going plot-wise. He's certainly a better protagonist than Gobo from the actual Fraggle Rock show.
Oh, sometimes I hate doing this.
Fuck you. Seth is a good, proactive person that is actually his own antagonist, and this fact causes him to be a bit of a whack job outcast to the rest of the townies. Seth, of course, always learns his lesson, but I seriously just love how much of an annoying prick he is sometimes. I think it helps how never cynical everyone around him is, and he himself isn't very cynical. He's not like Rick. He sees the act of showing off as a gift of knowledge to others, not purely just self-satisfaction. So it's a little bit more charming than your, you know, smarty pants Rick character. Seth's brother Pascal is also a character that never fails to make me laugh just by looking at him. He's like this weird college-age dude just fucking still living at home, and he has a mustache and like muscular Caucasian arms. I can tell the guys making him probably laughed their asses off a lot when conceiving this design. He's the dumber older brother, but he's not really a jerk to Seth or anything. Look, Seth totally deserves to be bullied by him, so I'm just saying, it's surprising that he's not being bullied by him. There's also Nancy, who fulfills my quota of cute mom, voiced by god-tier mom voice actress Jennifer Coolidge. Her personality is just Midwestern mom, but I'd say that that's good enough for me, baby. And of course, I would be remiss not to mention the best character, and let's face it, the best character of 2020, and that is Pam. Pam is a dinosaur. She has giant legs but no arms. She talks, but not in a dumb me Grimlock way, but like a normal person, but is also still incredibly dumb like a dinosaur.
Hang out.
Breaking news. I'm Anna.
She also has this stately 40-year-old woman voice, but acts like a big dumb dinosaur. It's perfect. We all love Pam. She's like if Winnie the Pooh was jacked as fuck and was a dangerous predator. Actually, this would be a good time to talk about the aesthetics and art of the show, because it is really gorgeous too. Well, it of course borrows from Smurfs or Flintstones or Fraggle Rock or dinosaurs. That is the Jim Henson show, not just the animals.
Oh, it's terrific.
Pearl, that's for kids.
Yeah, you'd think that because they're puppets. So the show seems to have a children's aesthetic. Yet the dialogue is unquestionably sharp-edged, witty, and thematically skewed to adults.
Or, I don't know, Snorks? Moomin? There's gotta be some Moomin DNA in there. Shout me out, Steven, if there's Moomin DNA in this show. Anyway, it may not be something entirely new, but it's something that you don't see in these kind of Adventure Time Junior shows. The show is like eating Fruity Pebbles, but if that were visuals. You have these beautiful watercolor and pencil backgrounds with the Cretaceous setting, dinosaurs, megafauna, trilobites, open swamps with sulfur gas, even some light use of practical effects like clay dolls or models and live action footage composited. The character design itself is also really simple, but in a really well-developed way. The Fungies are just incredibly well-conceived creatures with a lot of consistent rules on top of being easy to draw and very cute. They all got removable limbs and hollow bodies. They can mix and match limbs. They can fuse and unfuse. Usually they have one eye, but some of them don't. Like the twins have two because they're separate people still fused together, but like Little Lemon has two. Did Little Lemon devour their siblings in mitosis? You decide, viewer. Leave a comment and hit the... All of the threats also make a sort of sense in this world. Even the hyper-advanced alien invaders, because... why not? Were you there to see if aliens showed up 65 million years ago? The show isn't the same kind of unfettered lunacy as Adventure Time was early on. It's more like, and hear me out here, Season 1 of Steven Universe, where the hard rules haven't been completely defined, but there is a really great feeling of, oh yeah, this makes sense. No matter what weirdo thing happens. It's just a kind of internal consistency.
Yup, everything is great. Great. Were you always this boring ranger guy? I used to be a doctor.
Speaking of, the show is just fucking funny, straight up. Yeah, it definitely is in that chill out, soft feelings, buddy moment type mold, but it hasn't lost any of the bite of Clarence. You know, beyond not being suburban white kid in the 90s, the TV show. Every episode at least has a moment of making me laugh loudly in as obnoxious a way as possible. One thing I'm talking about here instead of in the art section is that often in an episode, if there's a shot where a character is on the screen but doesn't move, they'll be rendered as a background, like they'll be pencil drawn and then watercolor painted to be a background element. It's such a texturally unique thing that brings to mind some of my favorite visual gags from shows like SpongeBob. I can't even explain it. There's just something really funny about the way this looks. I giggle every time I see it, and try to find them in every single episode. Really, I'm just never bored watching any episode. The artists are so excellent as to even give a variety of funny facial expressions to all the characters that look pretty much the same, have one eye and no head. There are so many little things that I love. I love Nevin and Lemon's weirdly intimate friendship. I love the teacher who is constantly exhausted about Seth's antics. I love that all the dinosaurs look and act like Muppets. I love the 80s montage music that plays once an episode during a key scene, or the jazz rendition of the opening theme for the ending credits, or the ridiculously well-animated opening theme. God, I could list even more, but you get the point. The show really is just a delight. I could be here all night, and I have been. It's like 4 a.m. at the time of recording this. I just wanted to give credit where credit is due to a woefully underrated gem. Sadly, nobody's really talking about it, and even on YouTube, the one episode that they have up, the best episode 2, is like 10,000 views. It's called The New Pam in Town. It's a Pam focus episode, and it's about a wild animal trying to live in society, and then it ends in a fucking mecha kaiju battle? It's awesome! Give that episode a watch, and I promise you'll be in for a good time.
Oh, I know. You could get a job.
A job? You mean sell out?
Sadly, I think this and other shows are victims of circumstance, and I don't just mean COVID, because this has all been happening for a while now. While there's no way to tell how popular a streaming show is, really, it's safe to say that everyone who has seen Infinity Train fucking loves it and is way into it online, because that's a serialized story with theories to craft and characters to chart progress for. Hell, the show has a literal character development mechanic built into the world with the numbers on their hands. It's a show that you can watch and know for certain your time invested will be rewarded. So while it might not be mainstream popular, it most certainly is popular with online fandom, and it being released piecemeal on HBO Max is almost certainly the reason for this. Meanwhile, The Funchies is nominally ignored, despite also being on HBO Max, because it doesn't hit the same tone. Cartoon Network is in a really weird place as a network, and it's starting to negatively affect the reach of their shows. TV and streaming and the internet in general have all contributed to this messed up uncertainty of things. Infinity Train is made for the Max format, but The Funchies should just be a show on the channel that you can watch randomly on TV, see just an episode, get into it, and then watch from there. It being cored into an online streaming service where you have to purposefully choose it and dedicate time to watch it severely limits the amount of people who are going to choose to watch this 40-episode cartoon over something like Infinity Train. Well, to end on a happy note, as the first season comes to a close, I think more people are discovering what's good about the show from word of mouth. If this is all we ever get, that's fine. But I know for a fact that there's a season 2 in there that would kick so much ass, and I'm going to do my part to spread the word of this hilarious and heartwarming show to all those who might love it, but just don't know about it yet.